The galaxy was collapsing. Then humanity answered with one ship, a HFY. Humanity, fuck yeah. Science fiction story. Outline Part 1. The Collapse Begins. Chapter 1. The Galactic Council's Last Day. The Galactic Council convenes an emergency session aboard the orbital citadel above Proxima Tertius. For 3 million years, the Council has maintained peace among 17,000 civilizations. Now they face extinction. The crisis. A cascading dimensional rift is tearing through the galaxy's core, spreading outward at near light speed. Entire star systems vanish into the void hourly. The rift defies all known physics. It's not destroying matter, but erasing it from existence entirely, as if reality itself is being deleted. Council Speaker Veltharis of the Corvani presents the grim calculations. At current expansion rates, the rift will consume the entire galaxy within 43 standard cycles. Every advanced civilization has thrown their greatest scientific minds at the problem. All have failed. The ancient ethereals, beings of pure energy who witnessed the birth of galaxies, confirm what everyone fears. This is not a natural phenomenon. Something is deliberately unmaking reality itself. Chapter 2. The Desperate Broadcast. With time running out, the Council makes an unprecedented decision. They will broadcast a plea to every civilization in the galaxy, including the primitive ones quarantined by the Non-Interference Directive. Among these restricted worlds, Earth. Humanity has only just achieved basic FTL travel. Their first colony ship is still en route to Proxima Centauri. By galactic standards, humans are infants, violent, chaotic, barely unified under their fragile Terran alliance. The Council's message is simple. We are dying. If any civilization has knowledge or technology we have overlooked, transmit immediately. This is not a test. This is goodbye. Chapter 3. The Human Response on Earth. At the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Seoul, Communications Director Dae-hyun detects the alien broadcast. Within hours, it's decoded. Within a day, the world knows the truth. They are not alone, and their cosmic neighbors are facing annihilation. The Terran Alliance High Command convenes. Admiral Hae-jin, the decorated war hero who unified the Asian naval forces during the Resource Wars, leads the emergency session. She's joined by Chief Scientist Tae-sung, the quantum physicist whose theories enabled humanity's FTL drive. Tae-sung makes a stunning announcement. 6 months ago, his team detected unusual quantum fluctuations emanating from the galactic core. Dismissed as sensor errors, they now match the rift signature perfectly. More importantly, his experimental void engine, a device that manipulates the boundary between dimensions, might be the key. The engine is untested. Highly unstable. One miscalculation could destroy Earth's solar system, but humanity has always excelled at desperate gambles. Admiral Hae-jin makes the decision. Build it into a ship. We're going, Part 2, The Ship That Shouldn't. Exist Chapter 4, The Indomitable Project. Indomitable begins in the orbital shipyards above Mars. Humanity has exactly one FTL-capable warship, the UTS Indomitable, a prototype destroyer designed to protect future colony fleets. Now it will carry humanity's answer to the galaxy. The crew is assembled from volunteers. Captain Kyung-soo, a former fighter pilot known for impossible maneuvers. Young, reckless, brilliant. Commander Hana, first officer and tactical genius. She planned the strategy that ended the resource wars with minimal casualties. Chief Engineer Bora, the only person who truly understands Tae-sung's equations. She rebuilt a nuclear submarine's reactor with scrap metal during the Australian blockade. Science Officer J1, a xenobiologist and first contact specialist chosen because if they meet aliens, someone needs to talk without starting a war. Navigator Yuna, a mathematician prodigy who can calculate jump coordinates in her head faster than AI. Security Chief Dong-min, enhanced Special Forces operative. If things go wrong, he ensures they go wrong for the enemy. The crew numbers only 60, a skeleton contingent for a ship designed for 300. But speed matters more than numbers. Chapter 5. The Impossible Engine Chief Engineer Bora oversees the Void Engine's installation. It's a nightmare of contradictions. A device that shouldn't work according to conventional physics. powered by artificial microsingularities that exist in quantum superposition. Tae-sung explains the theory. The dimensional rift isn't destroying reality, it's pulling it into a neighboring universe. The void engine can create a bridge between dimensions, potentially allowing them to seal the rift from inside. The catch? Once activated, the engine will make the Indomitable partially non-existent in normal space. They'll be untouchable, but also unable to interact with anything. They'll have one chance to reach the rift, one chance to deploy the containment field. Bora asks the question everyone's thinking. What if we get stuck between dimensions? Tae-sung doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. Chapter 6. Launch. The Indomitable launches ahead of schedule, pushed by the knowledge that another 17 star systems vanished overnight. Earth's entire population watches the live feed as the ship breaks orbit. The Galactic Council, monitoring Earth's transmissions, sends a message. Disregard your intended course. The core is beyond salvation. Preserve your species. Do not throw away your world's future. Captain Kyung-soo reads the message to his crew. Then he deletes it. Set course for the Galactic Core. Maximum FTL. Navigator Yuna, find us the fastest route through hell. The ship jumps to faster than light, leaving Earth behind. They don't know if they'll return. They know someone has to try. Part 3. Through the Dying Stars. Chapter 7. The Refugee Armada 5 jumps into their journey. The Indomitable encounters the Exodus fleet. Thousands of ships fleeing the expanding rift. Entire civilizations crammed into whatever vessels still function, abandoning their homeworlds. Commander Hana monitors communications as species that warred for centuries now huddle together in survival. A transmission comes through. A Corvani destroyer requests escort. Their shields are failing, and pirates, those who've chosen anarchy over hope, are hunting stragglers. Captain Kyung-soo faces a choice: stop and help, or continue to the core. We help, he decides. Because that's what humans do. The Indomitable escorts the refugees for 6 hours, driving off 3 pirate wings with precise railgun fire. As they prepare to depart, the Corvani captain sends a message. What species are you? We've never encountered your configuration. We're humans. From Earth. A long pause. You're the quarantined primitives. You shouldn't even be here. The council is dying, Kyung-soo interrupts. We're trying to fix that. Indomitable out. Chapter 8. The Dead Zone. They enter the Dead Zone, the region where the rift's effects destabilize space-time. FTL becomes unreliable. Navigation becomes guesswork. Stars flicker in and out of existence. Science Officer Jae-won detects something impossible. Biosignatures in the void where a star system should be. They investigate and find the remnants, survivors who've somehow adapted to exist in the collapsing reality. These beings, barely corporeal, communicate through electromagnetic pulses. They share a warning. The Unmaker dwells ahead. It hungers. It has always hungered. You cannot stop what has no form. Jae-won asks what the Unmaker is. The end of thought. The silence after the last word. It is not alive, yet it consumes. It is not intelligent, yet it chooses. Turn back, young ones. Do not feed the void. The Indomitable presses on. Chapter 9. The Rift's Edge. They reach the rift's outer boundary, a shimmering wall of unreality that extends in all directions. Stars vanish as they watch, pulled into the expanding darkness. Bora begins void engine initialization. The ship shudders as quantum fields destabilize local space. Warning klaxons scream. The crew feels reality become negotiable. Captain Kyung-soo grips his command chair. All hands, this is it. We're going to phase into the rift. Once we're inside, we'll have approximately 8 minutes before our physical forms decohere. Bora, that gives you 8 minutes to deploy the containment field and seal this thing from the inside. And if 8 minutes isn't enough? Navigator Yuna asks. Then we'll have tried anyway. Engine activation in 60 seconds. The crew prepares. Some pray. Some write final messages they know will never be sent. Security Chief Dongmin checks his weapon as if bullets matter against the fundamental unraveling of existence. The void engine ignites. Reality screams. The Indomitable phases into impossibility. Part 4. Inside the Unmaking. Chapter 10. The non-space inside the rift, conventional reality doesn't apply. The ship exists and doesn't exist simultaneously. The crew perceives time as a physical dimension they can almost touch. Past and future blur together. Bora fights to maintain the containment field generators while her instruments display contradictory readings. The temperature is both absolute zero and infinite. Distance has become a suggestion. Jaewon makes a disturbing discovery. They're not alone in here. Echoes of extinct civilizations drift past. Ghost ships from species erased when the rift consumed their worlds. Millions of vessels, all trying to escape, all failing. Commander Hana realizes something crucial. This isn't random. Every ship here tried to flee. None tried to go deeper. What if that's the answer? Chapter 11. The Unmaker. At the rift's center, they find it. The Unmaker is not a creature or a weapon. It's a concept given form. Entropy's final victory. It's the universe's heat death, compressed into a single point, expanding outward to claim everything. Part 2. The galaxy was collapsing. Then humanity answered with one ship. The Indomitable had been in FTL for 5 days when Navigator Yuna detected something on the long-range sensors. She leaned forward in her seat, fingers dancing across the holographic displays. "Captain, I'm picking up thousands of ships ahead. They're not moving in formation. It looks like chaos." Captain Kyung-soo stood from his command chair. "Show me." The main view screen filled with dots. So many dots that they looked like stars themselves. But these weren't stars. They were ships. Thousands upon thousands of vessels, all heading away from the galactic core. "It's an exodus," Commander Hana said quietly. "Entire civilizations running for their lives." The Indomitable dropped out of FTL at the edge of the fleet. Up close, the scene was heartbreaking. Ancient colony ships limped along beside military destroyers. Luxury cruise vessels packed with refugees flew next to cargo haulers. Species that had fought wars for centuries now huddled together in survival. A transmission came through. The translator struggled with the alien language before finally rendering it in Korean. "Unknown vessel, this is Corvani Destroyer Shield of Stars. Our shields are failing. Pirates are hunting stragglers. Request escort assistance." Kyung-soo looked at his crew. They were already 5 days behind schedule. Every hour they delayed, more systems vanished into the rift. But the desperation in that alien voice was impossible to ignore. "This is Captain Kyung-soo of the Terran vessel Indomitable. We copy your situation. Transmit your position." "We're coming." Commander Hana turned in her seat. "Sir, our mission is to save the galaxy," Kyung-soo interrupted. "That includes the people trying to escape it. Tactical, ready weapons. Yuna, plot intercept course. Let's show these pirates what human guns can do." The Indomitable accelerated toward the Corvani ship. 3 pirate vessels were closing in on the damaged destroyer, their weapons charging. They were predators who had chosen anarchy over hope, feeding on the weak while the galaxy died. Security Chief Dong Min smiled grimly at his weapons console. "Target lock acquired on all 3 hostiles. Permission to engage?" "Light them up," Kyung-soo ordered. The Indomitable's railguns opened fire. Solid projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed tore through the first pirate ship's engines. The second vessel tried to turn, but human targeting computers were faster. Its weapons array exploded in a shower of debris. The third pirate took one look at the newcomer and jumped away into FTL. "Targets neutralized," Dongmin reported. "No casualties on our side or the Corvani ship." They escorted the Corvani destroyer for 6 hours, helping them reach the relative safety of the main refugee fleet. As the Indomitable prepared to depart, another transmission came through. "Human vessel, this is Captain Velkaris of the Corvani. We accessed the Council database. You're from Earth, the quarantined world. Your species only achieved FTL travel 2 years ago. Why are you here?" Kyung-soo smiled. "Because the galaxy is dying and someone needs to fix it." Indomitable out. "Wait, you're heading toward the core? That's suicide." The Council said. The Council gave up. "We haven't. Safe travels, Captain." The Indomitable jumped back into FTL, leaving the stunned Corvani behind. 3 more days of travel brought them to the dead zone. This was where the rift's effects began to destabilize space-time itself. Stars flickered in and out of existence. FTL became unreliable. Navigation turned into educated guesswork at best. "This is wrong," Yuna said, staring at her instruments. "Distance doesn't work properly here. According to my readings, That star is both 5 light-years away and right next to us at the same time. Science Officer J1 monitored the readings from his station. The rift is breaking down the fundamental laws of physics. Space and time are becoming suggestions rather than rules. Can we still navigate? Kyung-soo asked. Barely. I can get us through, but it's going to be rough. And I can't guarantee we'll exit where I think we will. Good enough. Take us in. The Indomitable plunged into the dead zone. Reality twisted around them. The ship's hull groaned under stresses it wasn't designed to handle. Several crew members reported seeing impossible things through the viewports. Stars that sang. Planets that existed as mathematical concepts. The ghost of a civilization that wouldn't evolve for another 1,000,000 years. Biosignatures detected, J1 announced suddenly. But that's impossible. There's no star system here anymore. According to our charts, this region was erased 3 weeks ago. Kyung-soo made the decision. All stop. J1, can you establish communication? It took an hour, but J1 managed to modify their communication systems to match the strange electromagnetic patterns he was detecting. What came through was barely language, more like concepts translated into sound. Young ones, turn back. The Unmaker dwells ahead. This is Captain Kyung-soo of Earth. What are you? How are you surviving here? We are the remnants. We adapted. Became like the void, neither real nor unreal. The Unmaker cannot consume what is already partially consumed. Commander Hana leaned forward. What is the Unmaker? What's causing the rift? The end of thought. The silence after the last word. It is not alive, yet it hungers. It is not intelligent, yet it chooses. It seeks to return all things to nothing, as was before the beginning. Can it be stopped? Kyung-soo asked. No. Yes. Perhaps. It cannot comprehend paradox. But you cannot create paradox of sufficient magnitude. Turn back, young ones. Do not feed the void with your existence, and the signal faded. The remnants vanished back into the impossible space between reality and nothingness. Chief Engineer Bora spoke up from her station. Captain, I've been analyzing what they said. If the Unmaker can't comprehend paradox, then maybe our void engine really can stop it. The engine creates a stable paradox just by existing. Then let's keep moving, Kyung-soo said. We've come too far to turn back because ghosts told us to. 2 more days brought them to the rift's edge. Nothing could have prepared them for the sight. It was a wall of unreality stretching in every direction. Not black, not white, not any color that had a name. It was the absence of existence itself. Stars touched its edge and simply ceased to be. Not destroyed, but erased, as if they had never ignited in the first place. The Indomitable held position 1,000 kilometers from the boundary. Every sensor screamed warnings. Every alarm demanded they turn back. Bora began the void engine initialization sequence. The ship shuddered as quantum fields started to destabilize local space. The lights flickered. Gravity became inconsistent. Several crew members reported feeling like they were in 2 places at once. Engine status? Kyung-soo asked, gripping his command chair as the ship bucked beneath him. Reaching critical threshold, Bora reported. Once I activate it fully, we'll phase partially out of normal space. We'll have approximately 8 minutes before our physical forms start to decohere. That's 8 minutes to enter the rift. Reach whatever's at the center and deploy the containment field. And if 8 minutes isn't enough? Bora met his eyes. Then we'll cease to exist, not die. Just stop having ever existed at all. Kyung-soo looked around his bridge. Commander Hana at tactical. Ready for whatever came. Yuna at navigation. Calculating impossibilities. J1 monitoring sensors that reported contradictory data. Dongmin at security. Hand on his weapon even though bullets wouldn't help here. 60 people on this ship. 60 lives against trillions across the galaxy. All hands, this is the captain, Kyung-soo announced over ship-wide communications. In 60 seconds, we're going to phase into the rift. We'll be in a place where reality doesn't work. We'll have 8 minutes to do the impossible. Each of you volunteered knowing we might not come back. You're all heroes. Earth should remember your names forever. 30 seconds. May whatever gods exist protect us. The countdown reached 0. Bora activated the void engine. Reality screamed. The Indomitable became a ghost, a paradox, a ship that existed and didn't exist simultaneously. Through the viewports, the crew could see normal space and the rift and other dimensions all at once. Entering the rift, Yuna announced, her voice steady despite the impossibility of what they were doing. Shields holding. Hull integrity at, I don't know. My instruments say we're both completely intact and completely destroyed. Keep us moving forward, Kyung-soo ordered. Bora, how long until we reach the center? 6 minutes, maybe. Time isn't working properly in here. The Indomitable plunged deeper into the place where reality ended, carrying humanity's desperate gamble into the heart of oblivion itself. Part 5. The galaxy was collapsing. Then humanity answered with one ship. 50 years after the Indomitable's sacrifice, humanity had transformed. The quarantined primitives who had barely achieved FTL travel were now a major power in the galaxy. Human colonies spread across 1,000 worlds. Human ships carried trade between civilizations that had existed for millions of years. Human diplomats sat on the Galactic Council, their voices carrying weight equal to the oldest species. But humans never forgot where they came from. They never forgot what it cost. Every ship that launched from Earth carried a small plaque with 60 names. Every colony established included a monument to the Indomitable's crew. Every human child learned about the day their species flew into oblivion to save everyone else. In the halls of the Galactic Council, a human delegate named Minho stood before the assembled representatives. He was the grandson of Admiral He-jin, carrying on her legacy of leadership. Today, he was presenting humanity's proposal for the Indomitable Memorial Station. Honored delegates, Minho began. For 50 years, pilgrims have traveled to the Rift's edge to witness what our crew did. Ships from every civilization in the galaxy make the journey. It's become the most visited site in known space, but there's no support infrastructure, no place for visitors to stay, no facilities to study the phenomenon safely. He displayed holographic designs. We propose building a station at the Rift's boundary. A place of remembrance, yes, but also a research facility. The paradox our crew created is unique in the universe. Studying it could unlock new understandings of physics, of reality itself, and the station would serve as a permanent reminder of what happens when species work together, instead of turning away from each other's problems. The proposal passed unanimously. 5 years later, the Indomitable Memorial Station opened. It was a massive structure, built with contributions from every council species. Human engineering, Corvani shielding, ethereal power systems, all working together. At the station's heart was the observatory, a chamber where visitors could safely view the rift and the frozen ship at its center. Quantum sensors displayed real-time data about the paradox. Educational programs taught visitors about the science, the history, and the sacrifice. But the most visited part of the station was the Hall of Names. 60 holographic displays, one for each crew member. Visitors could learn their stories, see their faces, hear recordings of their voices. The displays showed their lives before the mission, their families, their dreams, the everyday moments that made them human. Captain Kyung-soo, who once said he'd rather die doing something impossible than live doing nothing at all. Commander Hana, who wrote poetry in her spare time and loved ancient Earth history. Chief Engineer Bora, who rebuilt engines for fun and taught disadvantaged kids about science. Science Officer Jae-won, who wanted to meet aliens and understand them as people, not specimens. Navigator Yuna, who could do complex math in her head but couldn't cook to save her life. Security Chief Dong-min, who volunteered at animal shelters and donated most of his military salary to orphanages. And 54 others, each with their own stories, their own quirks, their own lives that they gave up. Young people from across the galaxy visited the hall and asked the same questions. How did they find such courage? How did they face oblivion without fear? How did they choose to sacrifice everything? The answer was always the same. They were just people, ordinary people who faced extraordinary circumstances and decided to try anyway. On Earth, the Space Academy had become the most prestigious institution in human space. Every year, thousands applied. Every year, only the best were accepted. And every cadet who graduated swore the same oath. I pledged to serve with honor, to protect with courage, and to face the impossible with determination. I will remember the crew of the Indomitable, who showed us that even the smallest light can defy the dark. I will fly far as they told us to. Lieutenant Soo Jin was one of those graduates. She stood on the bridge of the UTS Indomitable II, the newest ship in humanity's fleet. Named in honor of the original, it carried the most advanced technology in the galaxy. But more importantly, it carried the spirit of exploration and courage that defined humanity. Navigator, plot course for the Andromeda sector, Captain Young-mi ordered. There are 3 new civilizations there that just achieved FTL. The Council wants us to make first contact. Sujin smiled as she entered the coordinates. First contact was always exciting. 50 years ago, humanity had been on the receiving end, terrified and awed by the discovery that they weren't alone. Now they were the ones reaching out to scared newcomers, welcoming them to the galactic community. Course plotted, Captain. Ready to jump on your command. Take us out, Lieutenant. Let's go meet our new neighbors. The Indomitable 2 jumped to FTL, leaving Earth behind just as its namesake had 50 years earlier. But this time the crew expected to return. This time they were exploring, not sacrificing. At the rift's edge, the Memorial Station sensors continued their eternal vigil. The original Indomitable remained frozen at the center, its quantum signature steady and unchanging. The paradox held firm, preventing the Unmaker from ever completing its purpose. Station Commander Tai-Jun reviewed the daily reports. He was Bora's nephew, chosen for this posting because of his family connection to the mission. Every day he looked at the sensor data showing his aunt trapped in eternal stasis, and every day he wondered what she experienced. Did she dream? Did she think? Did she perceive the passage of time, or was she frozen in that one moment forever? The quantum physicists debated endlessly. Some thought the crew was beyond consciousness, their minds dissolved into the paradox. Others believed they were hyper-aware, experiencing every moment of time simultaneously. But Tai-Jun believed his aunt was still in there somewhere. Still aware, still watching over the galaxy she saved. Commander, we're receiving an unusual signal, the sensor operator announced. It's coming from the Rift Center. Same frequency as the quantum message from 45 years ago. Tai-Jun rushed to the console. The signal was weak, barely there, but definitely present. He routed it through the translation systems. Fly, far, proud, of what became. The message was fragmentary, broken across quantum states, but the meaning was clear. The crew could somehow perceive the galaxy around them. They could see what humanity had become, and they were proud. Tai-Jun activated the station's quantum transmitter. He didn't know if they could hear him, but he had to try. This is Memorial Station to the Indomitable. We hear you. We remember you. And we're flying far, just like you told us to. The galaxy is at peace. Humanity is thriving. Everything you did mattered. Everything you gave up saved us all. We will never forget. The quantum signal fluctuated, then stabilized. Another fragmentary message came through. Tell our family, love them, still. Tai-Jun wiped tears from his eyes. I will, I promise. Your families know. Everyone knows. You're not forgotten. You'll never be forgotten. The signal faded, returning to its baseline hum. But Tai-Jun felt something shift. A sense of peace, of completion. They had heard, and they understood. He sent a message to Earth, to the memorial in Seoul. The families of the 60 crew members gathered there regularly, maintaining a tradition started decades ago. They deserved to know about the new message. Within hours, the news spread across the galaxy. The Indomitable's crew could still communicate. They were aware, and they were proud of what the galaxy had become. Celebrations erupted on worlds across the stars. The crew that saved everything could still watch over them. They weren't just a frozen moment in time. They were eternal guardians, forever preventing the Unmaker from advancing, forever witnessing the life and joy and chaos that continued because of their sacrifice. In the Hall of Names, a new display was added. It showed the quantum messages, the proof that the crew remained conscious. Visitors stood before it in silence, contemplating what it meant to experience eternity, to witness all of time simultaneously, to sacrifice not just your life but your very existence in normal space. And they understood, finally, what made humanity special. It wasn't their technology. It wasn't their weapons or their ships or their clever tactics. It was their willingness to face the impossible and try anyway, to look at certain doom and say, not today, to sacrifice everything for people they'd never met, from species they'd never heard of, for a future they'd never see. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not salvation from the Unmaker, but the reminder that courage, real courage, meant doing what was right even when it cost everything. The galaxy was no longer collapsing. The rift remained contained, held in check by a paradox made flesh by 60 humans who chose to become eternal, so that life could continue. They were legends now, their names spoken with reverence on 1,000 worlds. Their sacrifice studied in schools, debated in philosophy courses, immortalized in art and song and story. But more than that, they were remembered as people, as individuals who loved and laughed and lived before they became heroes, as ordinary humans who did extraordinary things because someone needed to, and they happened to be there. The galaxy was saved not by gods or ancient powers or impossible weapons. It was saved by people. Part 3. The galaxy was collapsing. Then humanity answered with one ship, inside the rift. Conventional reality had no meaning. The Indomitable existed in a state that defied explanation. The crew could see through the walls of the ship. They could perceive time as a physical dimension, watching their own actions from 5 minutes ago and 5 minutes in the future happening simultaneously. Commander Hana gripped her console, fighting the disorientation. I can see my hands moving, but I haven't moved them yet. How is that possible? Cause and effect don't work here, Science Officer Jaewon explained, his voice strained. We're experiencing all moments at once. Past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. Chief Engineer Bo-Ra worked frantically at her station, trying to keep the containment field generators online. Her instruments displayed impossible readings. Temperature showed as both absolute zero and infinite heat. Distance measurements gave answers in imaginary numbers. The laws of physics had become mere suggestions. Field generators at 70%, Bo-Ra announced. But I don't know what that means anymore. My sensors say they're working and broken at the same time. Captain Kyung-soo forced himself to focus. Yuna, how close are we to the center? Navigator Yuna stared at her screens, tears streaming down her face. I can see it, Captain. I can see everything. The birth of the universe. The death of the last star. Every moment that ever was or will be. It's beautiful. It's horrible. She stopped, shaking her head violently. Sorry, the center is close, maybe 3 minutes. Maybe 3 hours. Time doesn't make sense here. A proximity alarm sounded, then unsounded, then sounded again in a loop that shouldn't be possible. Captain, we're not alone, Jaewon said quietly. I'm detecting other ships. Thousands of them. The view screen shifted to show what he meant. Ghost vessels drifted through the non-space around them. Ships from 100 different species, all trapped in the rift. Some looked ancient beyond measure. Others appeared brand new. All of them were trying to escape. Those are the ships from civilizations that got caught when their systems were erased, Commander Hana realized. They've been trapped here, existing in this impossible state, unable to die or leave or do anything except drift. Kyung-soo watched the ghost ships float past. Millions of beings, trapped forever in the moment of their destruction. How long have they been here? Some of these ships are from species that went extinct millions of years ago, Jaewon said. But from their perspective, they entered the rift seconds ago. Time is meaningless here. Security Chief Dongmin spoke up from his station. Sir, I'm noticing something. All of these ships are heading away from the center. Every single one tried to flee. None of them went deeper. Hana understood immediately. That's it. That's why they all failed. They tried to run, but you can't run from something that exists everywhere at once. The only way forward is forward. Then we keep going, Kyung-soo decided. Yuna, maximum speed toward the center. Whatever's waiting for us, we're going to face it head on. The Indomitable accelerated deeper into the rift. The ghost ships thinned out as they moved toward the center. Whatever was ahead, even the trapped dead knew to avoid it. The center of the rift opened before them like a wound in reality. And at its heart, they found the Unmaker. It wasn't a creature. It wasn't a machine. It was a concept given form, an idea that had achieved terrible consciousness. The Unmaker was entropy itself. It was the heat death of the universe compressed into a single point. It was the final silence that would come after the last star burned out. It was the return to nothing that waited at the end of all things. And it was aware. Jaewon's instruments went crazy trying to analyze it. It's not made of matter or energy. It's made of endings, of cessation, of the absence of existence. It's been here since the Big Bang, waiting for its moment. Now it's expanding outward to claim everything. How do we stop something that isn't really there? Dongmin asked. We can't, Jaewon said. It's not possible to destroy something that is itself destruction. But there's something strange. It's incomplete. It can only erase reality from within reality. It needs an anchor point, something that exists to help it erase existence. Bo-Ra looked up from her calculations. That's a paradox. It needs to exist to make things not exist. But if it exists, then it contradicts its own purpose. Exactly, Jaewon said. The remnants were right. The Unmaker can't comprehend paradoxes. It's a force of pure logic of natural law. Paradoxes are illogical, impossible. They shouldn't exist, but they do. That's why it's been trapped at the galactic core for billions of years. It's trying to resolve an impossible equation. Kyung-Soo felt an idea forming. It was insane. It was desperate. It was exactly the kind of stupid gamble that humans were known for. Bora, what happens if we don't deploy the containment field? What if we let the void engine overload instead? The engineer's eyes widened. The engine would create a stable paradox, a permanent pocket of space that both exists and doesn't exist. It would freeze the rift's expansion because the Unmaker couldn't resolve the contradiction. But the ship becomes the anchor. We'd be trapped here forever. Silence filled the bridge. Every crew member understood what Kyung-Soo was suggesting. They would have to sacrifice themselves. Not death, something worse. They would exist in an eternal moment, neither alive nor dead, forever trapped at the heart of the Unmaker, serving as a permanent paradox it could never overcome. The ship's chronometer, somehow still working, showed they had less than 3 minutes before decoherence. Commander Hana spoke first. Her voice was steady. 60 people to save 17,000 civilizations. Not much of a choice when you think about it, Yuna nodded. I always wanted to see something no one else had seen. This definitely qualifies. Dongmin checked his weapon, a habit that had no purpose here. Beats dying in bed, I guess. Jaewon smiled sadly. At least we'll be part of the biggest scientific discovery in history, even if no one can study us. Bora's hands moved to the engine controls. I'll need everyone's authorization codes to initiate overload. Once I start, there's no stopping it. One by one, each bridge officer entered their codes. Then Kyung-Soo entered his captain's authorization. Final authorization accepted, the computer announced. Void engine overload in 60 seconds. Kyung-Soo opened ship-wide communications one last time. Crew of the Indomitable, this is your captain. We came here to save the galaxy. In 50 seconds, we're going to succeed. Each of you volunteered knowing we might not return. You're all heroes. Every human should know your names. Every species in the galaxy should remember what you did today. If there's a next life, I'll buy everyone the first round. It's been an honor serving with you all. Kyung-Soo out. The engine began to scream. Not a sound that traveled through air, but a vibration that resonated in the bones, in the soul, in the fabric of reality itself. The Indomitable started to crystallize. The ship's structure began to exist in all moments simultaneously, becoming eternal and impossible. The Unmaker reached for them, trying to erase the ship, as it had erased countless worlds. But it couldn't, the paradox was too strong. The Indomitable was both real and unreal, both existing and non-existing. The Unmaker couldn't resolve the contradiction. The rift's expansion stopped. In his final conscious moment before the transformation completed, Kyung-Soo smiled. They had done it. 60 people against the end of everything, and they had won. The void engine reached critical mass. The paradox locked into place. The Indomitable froze in an eternal instant, a monument of defiance at the heart of oblivion. The ship existed in all moments simultaneously. The crew perceived everything at once. Past, present, and future merged into one eternal now. They watched the galaxy continue without them. They saw civilizations flourish. They witnessed humanity spread across the stars. They experienced every moment that would ever happen, frozen in time, forever preventing the Unmaker from completing its purpose. They were not alive. They were not dead. They simply were and would always be the paradox that saved everything. Light years away, the Galactic Council's instruments detected the impossible. The rift had stopped growing. At its center, quantum sensors picked up a human ship, existing in a state that violated every known law of physics. The galaxy was saved. But the price was 60 names that would echo through eternity. Part 4. The galaxy was collapsing. Then humanity answered with one ship. 3 months after the Indomitable vanished into the rift, the galaxy began to understand what had happened. The Council's quantum sensors had recorded everything. The human ship had reached the rift's center and somehow stopped its expansion. The readings made no scientific sense. The vessel existed in a state that should be impossible, frozen in a permanent quantum superposition that defied the fundamental laws of reality. Veltharis stood before the assembled council, displaying the data. The humans created a stable paradox. Their ship is both there and not there. both existing and non-existing simultaneously. The Unmaker cannot resolve this contradiction, so it cannot move forward. The rift is contained. At what cost? Asked an ethereal representative. 60 human lives. The crew is trapped in that eternal moment. They're not dead. Death would be a mercy. They exist in all moments simultaneously, perceiving everything that ever was or will be, unable to move or change or end. The chamber fell silent. Thousands of species, trillions of beings all alive because 60 humans from a quarantined world had flown into oblivion and chosen to stay there forever. A Corvani delegate spoke up. These humans. We knew nothing about them 3 months ago. Now they've saved us all. What do we know of their world? Very little, Veltheris admitted. Earth was placed under quarantine when they developed radio transmissions. Standard protocol for primitive civilizations. We monitored them from a distance, waiting for them to achieve faster-than-light travel and sufficient social development to join the galactic community. They achieved FTL travel 2 years ago, another delegate noted, and immediately used it to save us. While we, with our millions of years of advancement, could do nothing. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some argued that humanity should be immediately granted full membership. Others worried about a species that would sacrifice themselves so readily. What else might they do? How could you negotiate with beings who would fly into certain doom without hesitation? But the majority opinion was clear. Earth's quarantine would be lifted. Humanity would be welcomed into the galactic community, not as children to be guided, but as equals who had proven their worth in the most dramatic way possible. Admiral Hyajin received the council's formal message in her office on Earth. She read it 3 times before she fully believed what it said. Earth was being granted immediate council membership. The non-interference directive was suspended. Humanity could now access galactic technology, trade networks, and diplomatic channels. They would be given seats on the council itself, a privilege usually earned over centuries of careful diplomacy. But Hyejin felt no joy. She stood at her window looking up at the stars, thinking about 60 names on a list. 60 people under her command who would never come home. She called a global assembly. Every leader, every citizen who wanted to watch gathered as she read the council's message to the world. For 3 million years we believed we were the galaxy's shepherds, she read. We were wrong. When annihilation came, the youngest among us taught us the oldest lesson. Even the smallest light defies the dark. The humans of the ship Indomitable saved us, not with superior technology, not with ancient wisdom, but with the simple courage to try when trying seemed pointless. She paused, fighting back tears. They gave us stars we never earned. They gave us a future we don't deserve. And they asked nothing in return except that we remember. So we will remember. We will build a monument at the rift's edge. We will teach every child in every school on every world across the galaxy about the day humanity answered our cry for help. On Earth, people wept. They celebrated. They mourned. 60 heroes had saved existence itself, and no one knew their names yet except for their families and friends. That changed quickly. Within days, every news outlet across the planet published their names and stories. Captain Kyung-soo, the fighter pilot who never met an impossible challenge he wouldn't accept. Commander Hana, who had ended a war with wisdom and now ended the galaxy's destruction with sacrifice. Chief Engineer Bora, who could build anything from nothing. Science Officer Jaewon, who wanted to understand the universe and ended up becoming part of its deepest mystery. Navigator Yuna, who could see the path through any darkness. Security Chief Dongmin, who protected his crew unto eternity. And 54 others, each with their own stories, their own families, their own dreams that they gave up to save everyone else. 5 years after the Indomitable's sacrifice, a joint expedition approached the rift. The ship carried the best scientists from 20 different species, led by Dr. Tae-sung, now elderly and burdened by guilt over the engine he had created. Take us to minimum safe distance, Tae-sung ordered as they approached the frozen boundary. The rift remained, a massive sphere of unreality at the galactic core, but it no longer expanded. At its center, quantum sensors detected the Indomitable, locked in its eternal paradox. Tae-sung had spent 5 years developing a way to communicate across the quantum barrier. It shouldn't work. The crew was trapped in a state beyond normal space-time. But he had to try. Activating quantum communicator, he announced. Attempting to establish contact. The equipment hummed. Energy patterns danced across displays. For long minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly the sensors spiked, a signal came through. Distorted, barely coherent, but unmistakably human. Tell Earth, worth it, would do it again. Fly far. The message repeated on a loop, echoing across the quantum frequencies. The crew of the Indomitable, trapped in their eternal moment, somehow aware enough to send one final transmission. Tae-sung broke down, weeping. The scientist who had made their sacrifice possible could barely speak. They're conscious. They're aware. They've been experiencing eternity for 5 years, and they're still telling us it was worth it. A Corvani scientist studied the readings. The quantum patterns suggest they're perceiving all of time simultaneously. Every moment that ever happened or will happen. They're experiencing the entirety of existence forever, all at once, and they're still telling us they'd do it again. The expedition returned with their findings. The news spread across the galaxy. The humans weren't just heroes who had died saving everyone. They were heroes who suffered eternally, experiencing an infinite existence trapped in a single moment, and they said it was worth it. Pilgrimages began. Ships from every corner of the galaxy traveled to the rift's edge to witness the monument. The Indomitable became the most famous ship in galactic history. Religions formed around it. Philosophers debated what the crew experienced. Artists created works trying to capture the magnitude of their sacrifice. But for the humans, it was personal. Every Earth ship that launched, every colony that was founded, every child that was born, existed because 60 people chose to never exist in normal space again. The Terran Alliance built a memorial on Earth, in Seoul, at the place where Daehyun first detected the alien message. 60 names carved in stone, 60 faces looking up at the stars they saved, and beneath them, a simple inscription. They flew into the dark so the light could continue. School children learned their names. Songs were written about them. Holidays were established. But more than that, they became the standard by which humanity measured courage. When someone faced impossible odds, people would ask, what would the crew of the Indomitable do? And the answer was always the same. They would try. Even knowing they would fail, even knowing the cost, they would try anyway. Because that's what humans did. That's what made them different from species with millions of years of caution and careful calculation. Humans looked at the impossible and said, watch me. 10 years after the sacrifice, a young girl named Jiwoo stood before the memorial in Seoul. She had been born the year the Indomitable launched. She had grown up hearing the stories. Now she wanted to join the Space Academy, to follow in their footsteps. Did you know them? An elderly woman asked, standing beside her. Jiwoo shook her head. No, but everyone knows them. They're why I want to fly. They're why I want to see the stars. The elderly woman smiled sadly. My son was the navigator. Yuna was my daughter-in-law. They had only been married a year when they volunteered. Jiwoo's eyes widened. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize, the woman said firmly. They did what they thought was right. What needed to be done. Every day I miss them. Every day I'm proud of them. And every day I look up at the night sky and know they're still out there, still protecting us. She placed a hand on Jiwoo's shoulder. If you join the Space Academy, if you fly into the black, remember them. Remember that sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting. It's choosing to stay in the dark so others can walk in the light. Jiwoo nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll remember. I promise. Across the galaxy, 60 names echoed through eternity. The crew that saved everything. The humans who answered the impossible with determination,